CXM 1978 is a collaboration between Chase Bliss and Meris, two of my favourite pedal companies, and I have wanted to get my hands on one for a really long time. The problem is, upon their launch in 2020, the price was set at a pretty eye-watering $1,000 US, near enough. This then put it catastrophically out of my price bracket, especially at the time. And also we had competition coming in from the likes of even Meris themselves with the Mercury X, and of course Strymon with the Big Sky MX. So why is it then, whenever I see people I really admire or respect online, whether they're in the studio or in just chatting away on YouTube or whatever, why is it they are still using the CXM? Why are they sticking with this when there are more recent, more flexible, more capable, just as good sounding options? Why is everybody sticking with the CXM, other than, of course, the motorized sliders? The front panel of the CXM 1978 is really, really simple. So these left two sliders here, bass and mids, control the amount of reverb time that bass frequencies and mid frequencies get within the reverb. We've got a third slider here called cross. It's a crossover, so it controls kind of where bass ends and mids begin in terms of these two sliders, which actually adds loads of flexibility and is really cool. We have a treble slider just here, which does pretty much what it says on the tin. It controls the amount of high end within those reverb trails. Mix, which is the mix, wet dry, and then pre-delay, which controls kind of how long delay you get before you start to hear that reverb sound after you play your note or hit your string, which kind of simulates, if you're wondering what that's for, it's kind of, if you're in a really big space, like a hall or an arena, and you clap your hands, it's going to take time for the sound to go from your hands out to the walls and then bounce back to your ear, and that's kind of what that pre-delay is there to simulate. And then down the bottom we've got 5 buttons. We've got jump, which is a helpful way of just skipping through presets quickly rather than having to frantically tap away when you're on stage. Type, which flicks you through the 3 main algorithms of the 1978, which is room, plate and hall. Diffusion, low, medium and high, so it's the amount of diffusion in that reverb signal. Tank mod, which is frequency modulation on most other pedals. It's just low, medium and high, how much modulation you get in that reverb trail. Really nice modulation here as well, it sounds lovely. And lastly, clock, which is kind of a party piece for the CXM. Hi-fi, standard and lo-fi. So what that's doing is, because it is a digital pedal, it's varying the clock rate, it's varying the sample rate that it's kind of picking up your signal in. And what that enables it to do is, in hi-fi mode, it's at a higher sample rate, so it's getting all of that information, especially prevalent in the top end and very, very low end. At standard, you're getting kind of a more standard sample rate. And then in lo-fi, which I believe actually comes pretty much entirely from the Chase Bliss side of the Chase Bliss Meris collaboration, is a much lower sample rate, giving you a much lower fidelity sound. Kind of vaguely reminiscent of lossy, almost in a weird way. Not in any way similar, but in vibe, if that makes any sense. In the lo-fi mode, the pre-delay slider here does act as a clock, so you can get really, really, really grungy. If you want to, we can get kind of a bit more subtle with it. Lovely, really, really cool. Absolutely love that. Down the bottom, we've got 2 toggles down the bottom here, 2-foot switches. One is presets, which is flick through presets. You can hold to flick through banks, and then a bypass and hold for saving your presets. So I've pulled up just kind of what I would call the init preset. It's the default preset here. We've got preset 0 with, it's a room. You can see because the lights are dark down here, right? So you've got room with low diffusion, low tank mod and standard kind of clock rate. And then just to demonstrate what I was saying a second ago at the pre-delay, if I bring that all the way down, if I bring it all the way up, you can hear it's almost like an echo now. Whereas if I bring it all the way down, it's much faster. Yeah, there we go. Cool, so I can bring the mix up a little bit. does sound lovely. Let's. It's quite a big room at the moment, so I think we'll bring the reverb time down a little bit, maybe brighten it up, kind of get some bathroom vibes. And if we bring the reverb times up, and we'll bring the crossover all the way up. Then we're immediately into huge, washy, ambient territory, which is amazing because we're still on room. Talking of which, let's have a bit of an explore. Let's put those kind of EQs, I guess, in the middle, and let's have a look. Talking over my trails, let's have a look at the next room set. That was room. It's just a reminder. It's gone blue now, so we know we're on the blue option here, the blue rising here, which is plate. We get a very different reverb going. Lovely, really, 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 really lovely stuff going on there. Again, if I want to brighten it up, I can do that. If I want to change, maybe, let's try that. I have no idea what that's going to sound like. This huge, boomy low end there, and I can take all the bass out. Really clear demonstration there of how powerful those EQs are. And then if I wanted to change, maybe if I do that, okay, we'll bring the bass in a little bit. If I was to change where the crossover frequency between bass and mids in, then I can use this slider here. There you go. You can basically hear it's almost like fading in and out the frequencies between when you do it, so that the mids are high up and the bass is down low, or vice versa. You can really you can. There's so much control there that it's almost. I keep talking over the trails, I do apologise. It's absolutely beautiful. It really, really is. It's a stunning, stunning sounding thing. As you would expect, it costs as much as a car. So let's just bring that up. On to Hall now. So now that we've got a bit of a bigger reverb going, there's a couple of things that I really, really want to show you. So let's just we've got quite a large, we've got a pretty serious reverb going there. So I'm just going to bring it down a little bit by raising that crossover frequency. Okay, so let's, I think first we'll have a look at that diffusion setting. So let's put it on medium now. just do a kind of a quick fire comparison there. This is low. Medium. And high. Immediately struck by how beautiful that is, how washy it is, how wide it sounds, and also the real impact of that diffusion. Everything feels larger. It never feels inorganic, which I really, really appreciate. It never feels like you're playing a plug-in. I've had that, I've mentioned that before, like with the Strymon Big Sky, the original Big Sky. I think I actually said when I did a video on that it felt like playing a plug-in in a box. This does not feel that way at all. Okay, so that's diffusion. I'll put that back to, let's put it back to medium, just middle of the road, in the middle. Let's have a play now with tank modulation. So we'll keep everything as it was a second ago. Low, let's bring it up to medium. You can hear some kind of chorusing stuff going on there, definitely. And high. Really lush, really beautiful, really lovely, still very articulate. It stays very together no matter how far you push it up. I'm just going to bring that back down to medium as well, and we'll have a play with the clock button over here. At the moment it's set to standard, so I think what we'll do is punch up to hi-fi first. So this is the highest fidelity we can get, especially paying attention, maybe with headphones or some nice monitors. Especially paying attention to the top end here, because that's where you'll hear the artifacting when we start to bring that clock speed down. It is absolutely glorious, this thing. That sounds so good, man. That sounds so good. Let's go standard now. Blue. Again, a really, really beautiful sound. There's some loss of top end, almost air, kind of. There's a loss of fidelity. Really, there's a quality loss. Standard still sounds absolutely fantastic. You're not exactly missing out, but hi-fi definitely has more of that top end airiness, and it just sounds a bit more real, which I appreciate. It's kind of a cop out to say, but it is true. And then I go down to lo-fi, and I'm going to bring the pre-delay up to the middle, because as I mentioned earlier, when you're in lo-fi mode on the clock, your pre-delay kind of starts to function differently. You can hear all of that fidelity is just gone now, and we're straight into glorious washy territory. You get this almost shimmer-esque aliasing thing happening, which is just utterly, utterly wonderful. Really, really, really nice. And just to demonstrate it, I'll bring that all the way up. So it is still doing that pre-delay thing, but it's also controlling the clock speed. Approaching like rig mod level loss of quality there. Let's just bring that down. Awesome. The CXM then sounds fantastic, as it should. The price puts it at literally more than double the price of my best friend's first car. However, those real reverb nerds among us will have recognized some lineage here in the design of the CXM 1978, and that is that it is effectively an homage, a loving homage to the Lexicon 224, a studio quality reverb that you have definitely heard because there is at least one in every major studio in the world. It would be a shame then not to stretch this CXM's legs with some other sources. We've just heard it on piano. I have just grabbed my old lovely vintage MS-20 off the shelf here. I think we'll get some sequences going and play with some sliders. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for checking out the channel. Thank you for sticking with me until the end. If you like this video, please do like, share, subscribe, tell all your friends, all of that YouTube-y crap. Nevermore has a forum, which I will link down in the description, and a website that you can sign up to. We have got some plugins coming. We're actually going to be releasing some plugins very shortly, which is super exciting. So join the forum, get chatty, and subscribe on the website. Create an account on the website and you will be able to get those plugins the second that they become available. I'm super excited. Loads of cool stuff in the pipeline. Thank you again for watching. Let me know what you thought of the pedal in the comments down below, and I will see you next time.